Days of high tide flooding, days of low tide flooding, lots of wind and rain. That was the historic Ash Wednesday nor'easter of 1962. This year we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of it, and we're here on the Ventnor Boardwalk with Jim Eberwein, longtime National Weather Service meteorologist and Absecon resident, to talk about the storm and its place in history. Jim, thanks for being here today. My first question is, when you look at storms at the Jersey Shore, where does that Ash Wednesday storm rank, in your opinion?
Well, it was always the benchmark storm for many, many years, John. And talking to the people down here, because it was so unusual, it covered so much of the coastline from the Carolinas all the way up to New England. But as you know, and the old timers will tell you, ground zero was right there at Harvey Cedars.
Yeah.
So it ranked up there very, very well, and it was all by itself for many, many years until we started to get storms come after that.
Right.
But today it's been relegated to sixth place on the list as far as the tide height.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only separated by the highest one by 0.6 of a foot. So it's still hanging in there.
Right.
Still hanging in there, and it's a formidable storm. It's a very formidable storm.
What do you think was the most impactful part of the storm?
Everybody has seen the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Right? And you saw the ship out there at the Flemish Cap, which was 1,500 miles away. Picture the winds coming 1,200 miles off the ocean. It's known as the Fetch, coming 1,200 miles from that direction directly toward the Jersey Shore for 5 high tides. That was the most impactful thing of it. Each high tide got higher than the next, and each high tide prevented the tide from going out at low tide.
Right.
So the waves just kept coming in. Now, as far as wind, it really wasn't that powerful in terms of winds. Our winds were 60 miles an hour. But what was doing it is...
That's a pretty good nor'easter, but nothing extreme.
Nothing extreme. But what was doing it is what you see out there today, that big, big, beautiful ocean. And once you set that in motion, and those winds are coming for 1,200 miles, that was the major concern.
You said you were in Philadelphia at the time of the storm. What was it like in Philadelphia, and what do you remember?
I remember turning on the TV. I lived in North Philadelphia. Turning on the TV and seeing Herb Clark talk about the storm at the shore, and I saw homes floating into Barnegat Bay, and I'm thinking, what the heck is happening? What is that? You know, I'm in Philadelphia, and you couldn't imagine anything like that coming from the city. And it wasn't until years later that I really started to look into it, when I came down here to work at the weather office and started to study the storm, that I realized the impact.
You know, there's still people, and I got it when I was doing the story, that say that the 62 storm was worse than Sandy for them. Could you argue with them?
Well, at the time, yes, because building codes, the homes weren't as big. You didn't have the protection that you have today. Yeah, in some cases it was worse because the ocean met the bay, and the same thing with Sandy.
Right.
But yeah, it was. I mean, if you looked at some of those pictures back then,
Yeah.
you saw the sand piled up and everything. Oh yeah. In terms of, yeah, in certain things, in certain parts of Jersey, it was worse.
And then last question, and when I was talking to Scott Mazzella, who wrote Great Storms of the Jersey Shore, or updated for the second edition, I should say, you know, he said every chapter of the Jersey Shore almost starts with one of these major storms, the 44 storm, 63 or 62 storm, and then Sandy in terms of development. So after the 62 storm, we went from a lot of these cottages to more of the modern kind of homes, and then Sandy, you know, kind of has only increased that. Just your reaction to that. Do you agree with what he's saying?
Oh yeah, when you look at the top 6 storms as far as tide heights, you had, I think, 3 tropical storms and 3 nor'easters.
Yeah.
And we had Gloria, we had Belle in 76, we had 91. You had the 92 storm in December. That was a powerful storm. And yeah, but the thing after the 62 storm was we had these other storms. So when Sandy came along, you had better building codes. You had homes built up, more fortification. You know, you had the dunes and stuff. If the 62 storm were to happen today, the impact would not be as great because of that. Because we've had other storms in between the 62 and today and people have taken heed and the warnings and built better. The infrastructure is a little bit better.
Sure. Well, hopefully we don't have one of those for a very long time.
For a very long time, and today, is Ash Wednesday. And,
Yes.
And people refer to it as the Ash Wednesday storm.
Yes.
They refer to it as what? The high five.
The high. Yes.
The high five.
Yes.
And some other people refer to that storm, but we can't say what they refer to it as.
We'll keep that between the two of us.
Well, yeah, we keep that between the two.
That'll be a secret. But Jim, thanks for the time and coming out with us here in
Oh,
Bedford.
you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome, Joe. Thank you very much.